Hi, I'm Becca Otis from Lines Pottery in Monroe, Washington.
And I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, located in Southgate, Kentucky.
And welcome to Wheel Talk.
Hey guys, we've loved answering all of your questions so far. If you'd like to hear your question on the podcast, please send them to us on Instagram at wheeltalkpodcast or by email to wheeltalkpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks. They're probably off a little bit. It's fine.
Sure, it's fine. I'll just sync them up. It'll be fine. Everything is fine. Hi.
Hi, Becca.
Hi.
Hello. Hi. Hi.
Oh, goodness. How was your day, Ryan?
Before I start, we released our episode 55. This will be way past that, but we talked about the full-time, part-time thing, and I wanted to clarify something. So we talked about my week and stuff and breaking it down, and I just threw podcast in there as and I've been thinking about it the last couple weeks, and recording the podcast. Initially, I'm like, hey, this is work. But I don't think I step back and say, you know what, this is more like social time with Becca and I, and we just get to hang out. It's more like, hey, we're just hanging out as friends.
Whatever.
I
don't think of it as work.
So, yeah, I think I've been changing my tune a little bit the last couple weeks after.
I don't even remember that. Was I drunk during that episode?
We just released it. I mean, we probably recorded it 4 weeks ago, so.
I think I was drunk during that episode.
It was the best.
Yeah.
You were interviewing me.
I remember now.
Yeah. So I think these are just more like, hey, we're just chatting and we're recording it and we're talking about a topic, but we get to hang out and just say, how's it going? And
I agree.
Whatever. So,
I agree. I think the work that you may be referring to or maybe thinking about is when you have to do the description and I have to edit the podcast, and then maybe we have to design things or whatever like that. That's more of the work that is part of the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, it is an hour or 2 hours or whatever of the week, but it's hey, it's an hour of just hanging out.
Yeah.
And I was saying oh, I don't really hang out with people throughout the week, but this is time that we hang out, even though we're not physically hanging out together in person.
That's true. Look at us introverts.
So I should see that as more of oh, I am social, but it's just hey, it's just scheduled social
we've
time.
Been Zooming with friends before even before the pandemic. But we do it on Skype. Yeah. But still, we've been hanging out online before it was even mandatory.
Yes. All right, so that was the only clarification thing that I've been thinking about the last week or two. My day. So I haven't gotten in the studio that much the last couple days because my day job, we just launched a big rebrand project on the website.
I saw that.
For Citrix. So we've been working on that the last 6 to 9 months. And then yesterday we had a shifted schedule. So I started at 4 p.m. or 3 p.m. and worked until 1 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Generally, you want to release a website when it's kind of off hours for most people so that you're not introducing issues if there are problems when a bunch of people are online. So that's kind of why we did that. And we released a bunch today, so I've been kind of bogged down in that the last couple of days, but light at the end of the tunnel in the next day or two, so kind of getting back to it. But yeah, that's been the bulk of my couple days, and today I did get back in the studio and was glazing some stuff and loaded a kiln, and yeah, so.
I was just thinking about how nerdy we are, that's all we talk about when we hang out.
What? What our days were?
No, we talk about pottery, and that's when we're hanging out. Such nerds.
What do other potters that are hanging out talk about?
Cats?
I don't know.
We
talk about cats too.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
All right, how about you?
My day's been okay. I've been having some struggles with some handles and some pieces, and I've been talking to Josh about it, and we've been kind of working through it, but I have a mug club order that's got 75 mugs that I've now made 150 for.
Holy shit. You're supposed to deliver 75?
Yeah, and they're supposed to have
150?
75 finished, and I made 60, and I had to throw 60 of them away. So,
oh man,
that was a moment. That was a moment this week.
Was that the day that you like forgot to wrap stuff up? Is that the 60 you're talking about?
I didn't really forget to wrap things up. That's the thing. Like, something's different about these mugs. Like, I've been doing the same routine and the same handle for years. And just recently, things have been going awry. So, and I don't know if it's because of the size of these mugs or like what, but they all, like, 45 of them pulled off when they dried. And then I got so mad that I just threw the rest of the 15 away.
Jeez. Are you making these mugs in a different area than you normally would, so the airflow is different in that space than normal?
No. So, yeah, and it's just stuff. So, for some of you guys that don't know, I never, my handle process is pretty extreme, quote unquote, for normal people, I suppose. I don't slip and score, and I never have. And, so with all of these issues that have been happening, I just did 30 and I slipped and scored the shit out of them. Oh, this is an explicit podcast. I slip and scored the shit out of them, and they so I'm hoping that these like really stay. And I don't know if it's the porcelain. Hopefully, and we'll talk about this, but I want to get away from porcelain, so that'll be good. Anyway, so that's been my week. Pretty much the entire week has been this issue.
Were you able to at least throw them in the like recycling?
Oh yeah.
Or did you find them breaking after bisque firing?
No, thankfully I checked them before, and while I was like loading them into the kiln, I just threw them in the water bucket. But also, it's one of those moments too where it's like I'm frustrated that it happened. However, I'm really good at making that shape now. And
So it's just practicing that shape and getting
right. And so I think
that
I probably would have been frustrated with the shapes if I had let those 60 go through anyway. I remember this the last time. Mug clubs and me just don't have we're just not good team. We're like not friends. And I'm one of those people that if I do a mug club, really I should make 100 mugs before that, like 100 of that shape, and then do the 100, because I'm just so much better after doing 60 or 80 of them, you know? I'm just so much better. And so so yeah.
Are they going to get decals?
They will, and I'm doing them different than I normally would, so that's also another thing. So it's going to be kind of like a new system, but we're going to do the iron decals. Yeah. And this specific mug club paints their own. So it's in town, so they come to the shop and they paint the mug with the stroke and coat paints, and then I'll put the decal on top. So there's no badge,
so you're not
though.
In kind of crunch time with
there's no badge, though.
Like time.
That has been my issue in the past. So
right. Okay. Nice. And you're good on timing, like you're not in a rush timing, and
I kind of am.
Like you need them next week. Oh, you are?
Thankfully.
Well, I mean, when it throws you off and you're like, oh, I can just crank that out in 5 days, and then that happens and you're like, I need another week.
Totally. Yeah, I was like ahead of schedule, and now I'm like right on schedule. Thankfully, I don't need to fire them. Like, they don't need to be finished. They just need to be bisque, because all they're doing is painting them. So that's great.
Nice.
But yeah.
So at least you'll have extras hanging around. You're not going to have a bunch of bisque ones that have stamped numbers on them. Yeah. That you can't use for something else in the future. If you want to just grab bisqueware and glaze them.
And I haven't even stamped the numbers on the bottoms of these ones this time. I think I'm learning a little bit. I'm going to do the numbers at bisqueware at bisque stage, because I just don't want to like.
Okay. With a black underglaze or something like that, or with the decal.
I use the stamp pad from Minnesota Clay Company, which I really like. It's a stamp pad, and then it has like a black underglaze that has some sort of gum solution in it that makes it like flow better, and it's really quite wonderful. So I use that.
Nice.
Just with like 1-inch rubber stamps. But Sweet. Also this time Well, I won't do it this time, but if I ever do another mug club again, which is I'm gearing towards never. If I ever do a mug club again, I'm almost considering doing the Sharpie method where you can actually stamp the mugs at the end and after they're all fired, and then put them in the oven for an hour at 350 degrees. So you can use Stays On ink, STAYZON, Stays On black ink, and stamp on your pieces, and then you put it in the oven cold, and then ramp it up to 300 degrees, or 350, and put it in there for an hour, and then you just let it naturally cool. And that makes the ink permanent.
Oh, so it kind of bakes it on.
And I'm actually considering doing my garden stakes like that too. Because what's cool about that is that you could stamp on the garden stakes, hand them over to a customer, and say, bake these in your oven. And they could bake them, and they'll stay permanent. And I've been doing a test all summer with one of my friends in Alabama, and she has them in her garden, full sun, and they're fine.
Is that once they're glaze fired and everything?
Yeah, so you would glaze the garden stakes blank, and then you just stamp them with the Stays On ink, and then bake them. Or you could just you could bake them yourself, or you could just hand them to a customer with all of the letters on there correctly, or even tell them to do it, and they just go home and put it in their toaster oven or whatever. Yeah.
I'm curious if people would want to do that, or...
Well, yeah, and see, that's the thing. But obviously, I would come prepared with, like the regulars, but there's always people that are like, can you do blueberries for me? Or can you, make...
So they can stamp it after the fact. Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Anyway, this is going to be a long podcast, by the way.
Yeah. Let's get to a review.
Oh, yes.
This one came... And thank you for the reviews. We saw, since we re-recorded some of our intros and outros and said, hey, thanks for the reviews. We read them we read every one, and we're also reading them on the podcast. Thank you for those.
We love them.
This one came from Jay Trouts. And it's a 5-star one. Thank you. Good podcast, fun chemistry. This is a great podcast because you can hear how much Becca and Ryan care about the subject matter. With that said, don't play it out loud in the kitchen near your 4 and 6-year-olds. This show doesn't have an explicit warning, and those whippersnappers love throwing F-bombs.
And by whippersnappers, they mean Becca, because Ryan has a filter. Actually, what's funny is that I have said multiple times that we need to put an explicit warning on our podcast, because guess what? I grew up in a Christian household, and can't tell now, but yes, and I think we figured out how to do it. So thank you for that review. It kind of sealed the deal on that one. And we have...
Part of the reason I was putting it off, I listened to some, and they don't even have explicit on there, and they are far worse than we are. So what's the risk here? And are we missing out on listeners because they don't have it on there? So we just put it on there because just
to be safe. Better safe than sorry. And we don't know if it's going to show up, but I for sure don't want to be at the beginning of each podcast, just so you know, we cuss. But
right.
We do, or I do. He doesn't. He does in real life, though. I just want to let you know that he does. Yeah, we got some great reviews, so thank you for that.
Yeah, this will hold us over for a bit to read these. Yeah.
If they start getting more, if we get more, we're going to have to double them up.
And I think we also mentioned that we were going to incentivize people to write them so that we could give them something.
Did we say that?
Or do a drawing or something. We said something to that effect.
I can't remember. We should probably write these things down. Well, we'll notice. We'll do it anyway. We'll make something.
So if you maybe throw your Instagram handle or something in there so we actually know who you are. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to track down who these names are. We still don't know who JW17 is, which I'd like to find that out.
We love you.
A photo of Becca and J-Dub 17.
We love you. No hard feelings, and I'm sorry. I hope I didn't totally offend you by making a sweatshirt. Anyway, moving on. Yeah.
All right. Do you have the listener question? We have one for today, and it's kind of funny.
Is it on the notes?
Yes.
Okay. This is a weird day. Okay. Oh, God. Okay. What is your biggest challenge when it comes to hand building and the wheel? And Becca, are you in a relationship? Anne McDermott. This came from...
We got this through email.
Yeah, this came from one of my TikTok people. Well, you don't hand build very much.
No, biggest challenge. I mean, in general, I would say, like, understanding clay moisture and how you can, when you can and can't, like, join clay, or when to trim, or, you know, understanding your environment and how quickly things dry out. Like, that's what I would say is, like, a biggest challenge that is hard to just kind of intuitively grasp.
Yeah.
You get better with that over time of, like, can I leave this out overnight? Yes. Okay. Will it be to the state I need tomorrow? Or will it be too dry? Like, I think that's an interesting challenge that would probably work for both of those.
Yeah. I think that my biggest challenge is warpage. I just feel like 1 out of 6 bowls I make is just like a freaking oval when it comes out of the kiln. And
is that a clay? That's a commonality with your clay, right?
Yes.
With the type of clay you use?
But especially hand building, I feel like is very susceptible to warping because of the way you're taking things off of molds and stuff like that. So, because clay has a memory, right? Which also might be the handle issue, but I don't know. Anyway, because clay has a memory, so it remembers kind of that stuff. And then, you know, you're going high heat. A lot of the times my hand-built stuff is thinner, so that's why it also warps more. It may not be perfectly round. One side may be higher than the other side, which would then cause it to warp. There's a lot of scenarios, and like even now I'm making a place setting for the office that I live in, that I stay in. That is my office. Sorry. Even now, I'm making a place setting for the office that I have, and and it's there's a bunch of people here, so I'm making a place setting of 6, and I made 6 little tiny snack bowls, and one of them just like, it was just like, bye, see you later, not gonna cooperate today. So that also...
Yeah, I mainly have the warping on plates for the most part.
Yeah, too.
And that's because I throw them, keep them on the bat, cut them off immediately, and then once it gets time, I kind of flex the bat a little bit, and then I might pick the plate up on each side and kind of like... Yeah. It's mostly going to stick in the middle last, so as you pick it up, it kind of keeps that memory of kind of folding up a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I get the...
It's also
warping.
where you place it in the kiln, too. I don't know if...
Is warping even the right word? Because you are... I don't know. I mean, you are forcing it in that shape. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess it is.
Well, it wasn't. I can tell you this. Before it got fired to cone 5, it wasn't oval.
Okay.
It moved.
It's just part of the... Yeah. It's just part of the memory of what it's already... It's been in that shape before, so it just kind of goes back to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to make you yawn.
No, you're not.
Yeah. If I made you yawn at home, you're welcome.
Passed.
Anyway.
The moment's passed.
That's my answer. Oh, and the second question was, am I in a relationship? Only with my love, the clay. I used to say that I was in a relationship with my car and that we slept together every night because I was sleeping in my car. No, I'm not in a relationship. I don't need that in my life right now. I'm not opposed to it, but I don't need it.
Thanks, Anne, for the question.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate it.
Both questions.
I don't know if I was supposed to read the second part, but here we are. Lack of manners.
I put it up to you to read it if you wanted.
Okay, so...
What are we talking about today?
My stomach has been... You know what? I think that my...
I don't know how to frame this because I feel like it's going to be a monumental episode. I know.
Are you ready for this? Start listening. Now, my stomach has been like a little in knots today, and I think that subconsciously it's because I knew that we were talking about this today. What are we talking about? We are talking about some big news. Some big news in Becca's life. That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
So, we will just come out and say it. I have decided to sell my store. And I am embarking on a new journey. I feel so political saying this. I'm embarking on a new journey. Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I'm selling my store and I am going to move to Indianapolis at the end of the year. So I'm selling my store in late November. And you're like, Becca, well, what if they back out? What if they don't buy it? I'm leaving my store at the end of November, regardless. And I will be here in December training the new owners. And I am moving to Indianapolis to work for Rebecca Graves as a production potter. And I'll also be doing pottery, but... yeah, I'm not going to be doing paint your own pottery. And, yeah, that's the news. So, COVID has been insightful. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've already visited Rebecca the last 2 years, right? The last two kind of winters?
Yeah, I visited her right after Ensika last year. And that was just to kind of shoot the shit, and it was like 2 days. And then this year, I had decided that I wasn't going to go to Ensika, but it would be cool as kind of like a gift to somebody else to go. And I still will do this. I will still do this. Go to another potter's abode and help them out in their studio for a week. Just to kind of catch them up. And so I did that in March of this year, right before COVID hit. Like, we were literally sitting on the couch when Washington had their first case. And,
yeah, I remember we met for dinner, and we had, like, the hand sanitizer and stuff at dinner, and we had no idea what that would lead to.
Totally. And while I was there, I think a brief mention of, I could make space for you if you came here was mentioned. And then, other people, yeah, Becca, you should move here. And I was like, no, I can't. I have a studio. It's not like, I can't leave my space. And it was strongly put. It was not.
Was it just like, this is too crazy to make the jump? I have other things that I'm doing.
Yeah, and it was like, I have responsibilities, and like, my town really needs me, and all these things, and it was all in good fun. Like, Rebecca was like, it'd be funny if you came here and threw for me. And I was like, yeah, that would be funny. And
yeah, I think we were at dinner hanging out, and I was like, so are you going to come back again next year? Is this going to be like a year, like a every March kind of thing? And she was like, Rebecca was saying, yeah, this should be like, a December through November kind of thing.
Yeah, so...
or like January through December kind of thing.
Yeah.
She'll just be here
all the time
for the long haul.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys haven't picked up on this, but Rebecca is also one of my, like, really good friends. And so we've gotten quite close over the years. And, yeah, so... and then during COVID, it was like the first couple weeks of COVID, I was house sitting for a friend, and I remember I was sitting in my car, and I didn't have any work to do. You know, nobody was coming into the shop. And I remember feeling so relieved that I didn't have to see anybody. And, like, nobody was coming in. And I was like, this is great. Like, when my store closed, I was, like, secretly like, yes. Like, this is awesome. You know, because I didn't... money is not necessarily my top, as we all know, money is not necessarily my top priority, and I have enough to live on. So, it was a really good break for me, and I was sitting in my car, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, I don't really like where I am right now. I don't, love the position that I'm in. It's no surprise here, but I don't really like kids. And the shop has become mostly about kids, which is great. I mean, I do love the joy that kids bring. It's great. But I started doing pottery to do pottery. And this has grown into something so much larger than just doing pottery. And it has become about money. And it has become about what... the next, like, how to pay the rent, you know? And that's something that...
Does it feel like you're just getting month to month and just chasing the rent check, and that's just kind of what your normalcy has been the last... Has it been longer than COVID, or is it the last year?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I started, like, it was fine, and then even, you know, when we started doing the shop, I started teaching. I like teaching, but... also, it's so stressful, and, you know, I have to teach in order to pay the rent, and then, let's do paint your own pottery. Let's buy from China.
Because there's more profit margins there.
Like, we have to make more money in order to pay the bills, and then you're making more money, and you're spending more money, and you're making more money, and you're spending more money, and then you're stressed out, like,
but you also had to do the paint your own pot because you had to have some kind of a retail.
Right. Also that. Like, I honestly believe that this probably wouldn't be the case had it not been, had I not been on Main Street, because I probably would have had a studio. I wouldn't have had to have a retail space. And that's really what, like, getting up and going to work from 12 to whatever, 5 or 8 or... You know, it's not necessarily my cup of tea. And then having employees, even though I don't regret and I don't hate pretty much anything that has happened in the last 3 years, like, I appreciate the lessons that I've learned. I appreciate all the people that I've met. I appreciate just what I've how I've grown in the business, and I'm so proud of how I've grown, like how the shop has grown. I'm proud of where it is, and I'm proud of what it's done. I just don't want to be here. I want the shop to be here.
You just feel like you're not the right person to be in that spot for you mentally, physically, and just what your skill set is, what your ambitions are.
Right. Like, I want the shop to be here, and I think that it's a great asset to this town, but me being a single human being, juggling all of these different scenarios is hard, and it's not possible to be, like, mentally sane. I think that had I chosen to stay with it, and I do think that had COVID not come, I would have...
It would have prolonged it,
maybe?
Oh,
definitely. I would have just ridden it out. I would have ridden it out, and then in a year, I would have been so depressed that it would have crashed. And
like the business would have failed.
The business would have failed rather than the business being successful and selling
something to sell to somebody that has a good framework to work off of.
And also, I should mention before we continue that I will actually be splitting up my time between Monroe, Washington, and Indianapolis. So I'll be in Indianapolis from. This is the plan, at least. I'll be in Indianapolis from. After this year, from the end of October until May. And I will be in Monroe from May to October, still doing Leavenworth Art in the Park. So that'll be good. And I can still use the studio that I have built during that time. So that'll be also good.
Yeah, that's nice. You'll just be able to go and hole up and make stuff and go to and from.
And also this year, like, not going to Art in the Park has even more affirmed what is happening and what I've decided to do. So, I'm the day that I chose to do it. I didn't tell you until like after all this had kind of gone down. Like Andrew and Rebecca knew, and then I told you like, you know, the next time we did a podcast. But the day that I decided, I was like, I felt so good. Like the world had lifted off of my shoulders.
Right.
So.
That's crazy. Just it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm selling a lot and I'm making a lot of money, but you also have the expenses that pile up that allow you to keep making that money. And the profit off of it is like, you're just adding so much extra work to get to that profit level and just maintaining that as one single person with all the obligations is just...
Yeah, if I was a team, I think that it would be... If I had a team member, you know, like a teammate, I think that it would definitely be a hell of a lot easier. But I don't, and I will not for the foreseeable future. So, I mean, I could, I suppose, but that's not really something that is something I'm looking for. But, yeah... I just told my landlord this last week, and everybody else. I've told all my members and a lot of other people. It's not like I'm not really keeping it a secret, but I'm not, like, if I talk to somebody and they ask about something, I'm not going to not tell them. But I haven't, like...
Yeah, this is probably one of the first public thing. Like, you haven't made an Instagram post or anything prior to us recording this.
Yes.
I don't know if you will have before this gets released.
The Instagram post will probably be the same day. And the Facebook post as well. And the TikTok video as well. So, but, yeah. So, I haven't really told anybody. But I told my landlord. And that was... I cried for like 30 minutes after that. Like, and I don't cry very often. And, yeah. That was...
Were you crying feeling like you were disappointed that it felt like failure, or that like I'm leaving this town?
That was it. It was, I have this like a weirdly special relationship with my landlord, and he wouldn't admit to it, but he loves me. And you know, he was like, I was like, I'm leaving, and he was like, oh, it's fine, you'll change your mind. And I was like, no, I have a buyer. And he was like, well, thanks for ruining my day. And and you know, I just I love seeing him. He's a really great guy, and he's been a lot of the reason why I've stayed so long is because I feel like, you know, he works at the bar next to mine, and I feel like the bar is kind of like my family, and it's been what's kept me going, you know. And it wasn't even about him being like disappointed in me, because he wasn't, but it was more about the fact that like now it's kind of real. Sorry, I thought my phone was on silent. Now it's kind of like real. And also, I don't get to see him or anybody in the bar after, you know, I leave. And it's just kind of scary, you know, to leave and give your entire life's work to, adult life's work to somebody else. And, yeah, so.
Mm-hmm. Plus, I feel like some of those interactions and those people that you talk with on a daily basis or you see frequently, that it becomes sort of like fun, like professional, but also like, hey, you just take it for granted that, you know, like step back and reflect the relationship that you have and like what you've shared with them, and, you know, the enjoyment you get just having moments with them that you just pass by and they stop in the shop.
Like, I have gotten piss drunk with my landlord. Like, I got drunk. He didn't. But like, you know, we've like, you know, and it's just, I don't know, it's just a really strange relationship, and I am so grateful for it and for him and for him being like super chill. However, he hasn't fixed the ceiling in my shop or the awning. So there is that. But yeah, it's, you know, you do, like, that's the thing. It's the friendships and it's the relationships that you miss the most, I think. And, you know, also, I have a really unique friend group in this town, and we're all pretty much business owners, and that is something else that I'm sure I will mourn in the future, you know, is that I have a lot of connections, and I have a lot of places that we go, and we know everybody, and, you know, that's kind of, like, really cool. So it's...
Yeah, I mean, you're uprooting yourself to somewhere where you don't have those connections. You have 3 or 4 people probably, or you have the members of Rebecca's studio. You have Josh that's not too far down the road. You got me that's a couple hours away.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only way that this is going to happen. Like, I don't think that I would leave. If I felt like I could move to another studio in Monroe or around Monroe, I would. I probably would. But I do think that a little bit of separation is needed, not only for my mental health, but for boundaries that need to be taken when I do leave. And so it's going to be tough, but I don't think that if I stayed, I would enjoy that decision. Not because I wouldn't enjoy the people, but there's a lot of people that don't realize when you've left something that you've left something, you know?
Yeah.
So
is it hard to, I don't know, how do you frame this in your mind, or is it just how people would interact with you after they hear that you're going to sell the shop and you're moving? Do you feel like you have to show the positive side of it? Do you feel like you want to put off, you don't want them to think like, I'm sorry that you feel like you failed at it, or like,
yeah, I definitely,
you're giving up on it, or you're leaving something that you've put work into and feel like you're giving up versus
I definitely want
moving towards something.
Yeah, I definitely want people to like realize that it's not a failure. Like, that's like the first thing that people ask. You know, they're like, oh, well, are you okay with it? I'm like, yeah, I'm great with it. This is fantastic. Like, I'm so lucky. I found a person to buy the shop in a week. A week within the time that I decided. And I think that that's been big, you know, especially right now during COVID, because I'll be like, oh, I'm selling the shop, and they're like, oh my God, and I'm like, no, it's not like that. Like, it's not like it's not like the stat of X number of. I don't need to sell the shop. I am selling the shop, you know. Yeah. And I'm not selling my.
I had the opportunity to.
Yeah, and I'm not selling my business. That's the thing too. I am not selling 5 Lines Pottery. However, that was up on the table. Like I said, I can give you my name. They just chose that they wanted to use their own name. Because I have alternatives. I would have just changed to Simply Saito. It wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But, this is Becca. Way later than when this podcast was recorded. I just felt like I needed to come in and interject some information because some things have changed. So a lot of the podcast talks about the current person that is going to buy the space. They have decided to actually not purchase the business. I am in discussions with somebody else who is also one of my friends and a member here. So it probably won't change very much information within the podcast, but I do want to give you that little piece of information because it is a little bit different. They have backed out, but no hard feelings at all on their end. They were going through a lot in their life, and and it just turned out not to be the right time for them, and that's okay. So and we'll see how the rest of this podcast goes. I might cut out a few parts, but probably not. Just so you know, that's where we're at. But
so you're really just selling the physical equipment
right.
and all of the materials.
I'm switching over the lease.
You're not doing pottery
exactly.
anymore.
Like I am still going to be doing everything that I do on a normal basis that quote unquote Instagram sees, except for I will not be in Monroe, and I will not have to do as much, hopefully, because I will be getting a paycheck from Rebecca. So,
right.
But yeah, I think that that's important to note as well. Like, I'm literally just selling the contents of the store and switching over the lease. Like, I don't own the building, so I'm not selling the building. But I have set up systems within the shop, and it has literally over $100,000 of equipment. Like, not really. I've invested over $100,000 into this store, and so, and it probably has 30,000, not even 30, like maybe 25 hard asset of equipment that I can count, and I'm sure there's probably another 5 or 10,000 that I'm not willing to count, and so I'm selling, and I'm not selling for a lot. I don't need a lot. I am selling for, well, I don't know if I should say what I'm selling it for, actually.
Probably shouldn't. We don't have to.
I'm not selling it for a lot.
I mean, you're basically selling so that you can move and you can get your roots somewhere else and get going.
What I will say is that by the end of it, I will be completely debt-free, and I will have a little bit of money left over. So that's
great.
So that's the goal, and that's really exciting. And yeah, I'm like really, really excited. I wish there was like a month ago. The person that's buying it is actually one of my friends, and she's a member at the studio, and it's actually her mom that's buying it, who needs a little bit of a change in her life. So, and they've been going through a lot of change as well, and I'm really excited about it for them. But it's going to be stressful on all fronts once the shit hits the fan.
Right.
But she was like, just so you know, if you decide to change your mind because of like COVID or anything like that, like, don't worry, we're not gonna get mad. And I was like, oh, change my mind? I would leave now. I would leave right now if you let me.
I will leave you high and dry right now.
I was like, and it was, I can't even remember what day it was. It was a couple months ago, and she was like, just so you know, I was like, you want it now because, like, we don't have to wait until the end of November.
I'm going to Cincinnati in a few weeks. Like, I will be out of here.
I'm gone. No, and it's just, the time has come. I have the worst, like, senioritis ever.
Oh, man.
And it's...
I wonder what it's like having that date in mind. It's like...
It's scary.
Sell in the shop. And like, what are you taking with you? What are you not taking with you? What do you need to make so that you can get... You're going to have such a, like, leaving Monroe sale or cross-country trip sale or something. You're just going to be, like, selling every piece of pottery that you have left before you leave kind of thing.
I hope that... I know. I need to, like, stop making things and just, like... Because it's coming up. It's, like, it's like 2 months away. I need to stop making things for sure. That should be a plan. Anyway, also, I wanted to say that that's actually why I started a TikTok, is because I wanted to make, like, little 1-minute videos on how to do things around the shop so that I could give them to the new owners. And that way, if they had a question, they could just kind of, like, look through the videos. Because it saves the videos, so you can just send it. You know, I could just make
instructional videos, yeah.
Yeah, and so I couldn't tell anybody, but that's why I was doing a TikTok, and it's kind of like evolved into something else as well, but I still am doing that. And so there's a lot of videos in my TikTok that are like, this is how you pug clay, and this is how you recycle clay, and all these things. So, I'm maybe we'll start a Patreon as well and do classes. We talked about that, but I don't know if I want. I don't know.
Interesting.
So I want to help them out as much as I can. It's, but I also want to, like, leave.
Yeah. there's like knowledge sharing that goes on when you're at the end, and then you kind of cut the cord and you're gone, and then it's like you'll get some back and forth in the first month or 2 months or whatever about like, how do I do this? How do I do that? What do you do for this? And then it'll kind of tail off and you're like, I'm free of that.
Yeah. And, you know, I use up most of the materials in the shop. So the reclaim and the glazes and all the things that I'm mixing on a regular basis will be significantly less because there's not as much production going on. And so I've been trying...
So they have that stockpile. That's going to last them a good amount of time.
Right, and I've been trying to get rid of the reclaim and really just get it out. And I've been not super successful, but minorly successful at that.
You're trying to use that, or you're trying to stock it up so they have
trying
a bunch
to use
ready?
Oh, yeah, okay. I don't think that...
So you don't have to buy new clay? Is that
kind of, but also just to get it out, because I've got like 2 tubs. I need to find somebody to help me like get the 2 tubs that I have into a big giant, like take it to the dump or something, because they're like 300 pounds each.
Jeez.
They're heavy. I need to like break it up and put it in trash bags or something, but because it's all like dry. Yeah. So I'm a little scared because it's like, you know. I
was gonna ask you, where are you at on like excited 1 to 10?
Like 9.
What about scared or nervous?
Like 8.
1 to 10.
Like 8.
Happy.
Like a 10. I'm excited for a change. Yeah.
Stressed.
Oh, like that's a 12.
That's 12.
Like, yeah, I'm a little nervous because the owners. Well, I'm not nervous, but I am nervous. You know, I had mentioned a while ago on the podcast that I didn't realize how much information is in my brain, and I still hold true to that. I did not realize how much information and how many tasks I do within the shop that not a lot of people know. So I'm trying to kind of like seep all of that information into other platforms, you know, that's like the TikTok or what have you. And yeah, so like I need to get all the members into the shop, and we're going to do a full, like, this is how you unload a kiln. This is how you load a kiln. This is how you pug clay. This is how you reclaim clay, you know, like, and this is how you make glaze. And we don't.
And that's kind of what you wanted the studio to be anyways, right? You wanted it to be a community-driven,
exactly. So
self-maintained,
and we've
that not just you,
right? And thankfully, I mean, most of the members actually know how to do a lot of that stuff, just because they've been around and you learn as you go. But it is good to get everybody kind of on the same page, because, like, you know, Ellen knows how to unload and load really well. Tammy knows how to do this really well. You know. Katie knows how to do this. Like, they all know, like, certain things. And so if we could get everybody on the same page, and there's not very many members, you know, there's like 6 or 7, so we don't have very many. And yeah, and I will be doing a few more classes just to end up, like, just to end a lot of people have been asking me about classes. And
because you have you started classes again, like regular classes, not just like members coming in?
I'm going to start after this next... I'm going to start after this next week. Because there will be...
Is that to get some cash flow going and kind of say your goodbyes and kind of book in?
Kind of. I've got to get...
And do your last teachings of, here's how you do this, here's how you do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to get a few classes in before I go to Cincinnati. And I've got one that cut halfway through at COVID, and I want to just get that in and out.
Yeah.
So, and then
she'll be here in a month.
Yeah.
I think it's a month.
And then maybe I'll just do one last class, you know? I'll just do, because I don't think there's going to be that much time to do another class. I could do a class through December, but because I'll be here.
It would be nice for people to shadow you while you're kind of running through some of that stuff.
Yeah. Thankfully, the person that will be doing classes has been in my class and has taught classes, and the people that are buying the shop are both teachers, so that's also very good. And they also like kids, and so they're going to gear it towards children a little bit, so that'll be great. But yeah, I think that and even, the shop can sustain itself without classes, kind of. I mean, it's gonna be tough. I've been supporting this myself during COVID on my own work. So, and before that, it was mostly paint your own pottery. So, but if we time it right, we can do a grand reopening. Like they can do a grand reopening, and hopefully,
open the doors, welcome the new blood, and get some folks in the community back in the shop.
And I was like, if you do homeschool classes, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Homeschool parents, and also with COVID, everybody's remote learning anyway. They want their kids to be doing stuff. So.
Right.
Yeah.
How does the mentality shift? You're going to Rebecca Graves, you're going to get a paycheck from her, you're going to be making pieces for her, getting paid per piece or however, and you're going to get a paycheck versus worrying about the rest of the process where you have to sell it and do all these other obligations. How's that going to shift for you?
I don't know.
Is it going to feel like a regular job? Like you're going in these hours on these days and you're going to leave and you're going to get a paycheck at the end of the week or whatever?
I don't think so, because I will probably still have studio space near there. Whether that be whether that be in a separate space that I rent or what have you, because I still want to do pottery and my own pottery as well. Because it would be dumb to stop the momentum of selling whatever work I've been selling, It might switch over to more of like a specialized pottery though. So anyway, I think that if what I'm envisioning, which probably won't happen because let's be real, nothing happens the way you think it will. What I'm envisioning is I'll probably just throw pots, and then at the end of the day, I'll probably do my own stuff too, but it maybe not be at the same quantity as,
Right.
So, and then
I always wonder with people that work for other potters, do they make their own body of work, or is it hard to motivate yourself to switch gears? I guess having the studio in the same space could be easier, but kind of shifting that switch off and turning your own switch on.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, will you be overthrowing pots? I know that a lot of her potters do their own stuff on the side.
Right.
But, there might, and it might, like the first year I might take off of doing my own stuff, Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
I think you're in a good spot. Have you lived in the Midwest before? Or
I've lived in Colorado, so I don't, it's like the West, but
no.
It's like Midwest. It's like between the middle and the West.
I think it would be fun if you were able to sell at a show that I do, or we sell at a show in the same city. I didn't even
think about that because you're right. I've been only selling in Washington and legit. You're
I'm assuming that you're also going back to Leavenworth and going back to that area for the regularity, but you also say the social aspect. You see the people that you saw the last number of summers, and it's fun for you, and
right, it's fun.
You got it down.
Yeah, it's not about work in Leavenworth. It's more about just having a blast, and being with my friends, and So, and if things change, I mean, what if I make enough money that I don't have to even do? I don't know. It's all up in the air, and I'm excited about that idea. I'm also considering maybe buying some investment property in Indianapolis, which I never thought I would say. I was like, I'm never gonna buy a house again. Bah! But it's so damn cheap, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap out here in this area.
Like, I found houses for less than $30,000.
That's really cheap.
Were they meth houses? Probably.
That must be a shithole.
No, but like, you know, they're trying to gentrify.
Lots of potential to fix up, though.
They're trying to like gentrify Indianapolis a little bit, and so they've got like incentive programs to fix up houses and grants. There's like so many grants in your neck of the woods. But yeah, it will be so interesting to see. I don't plan on taking, at least for the first year, I don't plan on taking any of my booth setup because I don't plan on taking my van. I really don't want to have 2 vehicles in a new city the first 6 months that I'm there. And so I'm going to store it here. Good. And my booth setup will stay here. So, and if something changes...
Well, I'm sure you could always get a cheap tent or borrow a tent if you had to do a show for a weekend. Like, you can figure it out. Right.
Exactly. I could probably borrow Rebecca's. Or rent it from her or whatever. But yeah, so I'm
really curious how your sales would do in like this market, because you talk about the price of stuff out there is so expensive, but with your price of work, would that be more conducive to this market and you would sell like crazy?
I know. It would be so strange.
And then you don't need as much profit because of the cost of living.
We should do a competition when I get out there and do the same show.
That's why I think we do a show together, and I'm like, how'd you do today? How'd you do today?
Yeah.
How'd you sell today?
Do the same show, but it would have to be a new show because you know all the people at the other shows. I'd have a steep...
I was thinking of... I'm looking at Indianapolis as potential show option.
Yeah, you'd have a steep advantage just because you're local.
If we did it in Cincinnati, I mean, we could do it somewhere else. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We could do one in Louisville.
No, you're still local there. You don't... That's not a chance.
I only have like 3 shows in the past in Louisville.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think that it would be so much fun to do that. And I'm sure I could borrow a setup from somebody. It just would look totally different than my normal setup.
Right.
But yeah, no, I'm like, honestly, I'm so excited, and I'm mostly excited about not having the responsibility of a shop. I've had this responsibility for 3 years, and before that I had the responsibility of a house. And you know, I'm 30, and
like, why have all these obligations and responsibilities if you're not enjoying it? If you don't like, if you're like, oh, thank God that nobody's coming into the studio. I don't have to get over there for Paint a Pot and have to do the same spiel to these people that come in, and then, you know.
Yeah, and it's not even that I don't love the Paint a Pot. I think it's just that everything combined, like, if I was just doing Paint Your Own Pot, it would be one thing. If I was just doing pottery, it'd be one thing. If I was just doing classes, it'd be one thing. But I am doing all of it. All of it. And
you kind of need all of it to maintain your rent and your expenses.
Yeah, and so...
paying yourself and all that
Yeah, and stuff. I think that... And so I'm really excited to have just... I just really want a lunch break. Like...
You'll be making lunches like me someday.
Yeah, I just really, like... I think that all of my life I've strived. Anyway, all of my life I have looked forward to a regular schedule, and I've never had that. And maybe that's not what I want, but I want to find out if it's not what I want. You know?
I think that's a good statement there.
Like,
you don't know if it's what you want, but you want to find out if it is.
Yeah. Like, I want to find out that I want to find out if eating meals at noon and like bringing leftovers to work is something that I enjoy. Because the last time that I had a regular job, I was young enough and dumb enough to not be established, you know, in the way that I am. And so, yeah. I feel like I'm getting out of my 20s, you know? I'm like, we don't really talk about this on here, but I literally don't live, quote unquote, anywhere. Like, I don't live in my shop anymore. I live in an office. And,
which is why you were laughing earlier.
That's why I was laughing earlier. And so, I don't have a normal life. Not that normal is really what
what is normal?
Oh, no. I just erased the last 4 of my credit card that I needed to remember. Anyway, moving on. What is normal? You know, but I know that this is nobody's normal. What I'm doing right now, you know. So, you
just want something different. You want to change the pace. Yeah. You want to find out.
Yeah, and if I find out that I really loved having a shop all along, then maybe I'll open a shop. But I'll tell you what, if I do, I'm going to do it differently, and it's going to be much smaller. And,
or you might just want to have rent for a place that you can make work and have enough space that you can have all your equipment and...
Yeah. And with the sale of the space, I am keeping a few things. For instance, I am keeping my slab roller. I'm keeping my wheel.
You and your damn slab roller.
Damn slab roller. I'm keeping my slab roller. I'm keeping my wheel. I'm keeping my molds. My hand building molds.
Are you keeping the high roller? Is that what you mean? Or the flat one? That high roller was not a cheap investment.
No, that was $1,400. It was so expensive. So the high roller, the wheel, the molds, and the baby kiln. Now, whether I leave them there at the beginning, you know,
it's more like, hey, I'm just going to use this storage space in the shop. You can give up this amount of space for me, right?
Yeah, so we'll have to, kind of discuss that. It's not, a super formal thing yet. I know we should be doing, paperwork and stuff, but the owners just bought a house. And so it's been the new to be owners just bought a house, and their mom's moving up here, and so it's been stressful. But if they back out on the deal, I'm just selling all my crap anyway. Or I'm calling up somebody in India. I'm sure I can find someone in Indiana that wants a bunch of pottery shit.
And you'll just bring it with you.
I mean, there's always there. The key is I am leaving 119 East Main Street at the end of November. I will be gone. So yeah. Yeah.
I just gotta say, I'm excited for you.
Thanks.
I'm excited to see you more.
I am too.
I'm happy you're gonna come out to Cincinnati here in a few weeks.
I know, and yeah, I'm so stoked for that. I have a lot of good friends here, but also my people, my pottery people, are all of you guys. And it is no coincidence that you, Josh, and Rebecca, and Jen, and Heidi all live within a 5-hour radius. You know? It's,
Which one's Jen? I'm sorry. What's her last name?
Jennifer Beachy.
Okay. Where's she at?
She's north in Goshen, Ohio, and she's wonderful, but she doesn't do pottery anymore. She works with her husband. But she and Rebecca started together. And
okay.
She was the very first production potter that I looked up to, and I was like, oh my god, your stuff is so amazing. And I emailed her and I asked her all these questions, and she told me about Etsy wholesale and all these things, which doesn't exist anymore. But she was so nice to me, and we have very similar styles. Just like I have very similar styles to Rebecca, because guess what? They learned together. But yeah, I like the fact that I don't have almost any pottery friends here. Now I have a few, but very few pottery friends here has been hard. Really, really hard.
I'm curious how that area compares to a Cincinnati or an Indianapolis. I don't know how big the scene is in Indianapolis, but obviously a few of us in that Indianapolis area.
Yeah.
I'm just curious how you progress, or
well, I think the difference,
you tend to like make similar things to other people that you see more frequently.
No, I don't make anything similar to anybody around here, which might be to my advantage, but I don't know. Well, I kind of make stuff similar to Bruning, but I think the difference is also that I started learning pottery here under a production potter, and he was very far removed from the pottery scene within Seattle, or the quote-unquote ceramic scene within Seattle. And so with that comes a lot of like removal of sorts. Like, I don't know all the potters around here, and the ones that I do know, we don't communicate very often. Not that they aren't, like, there's a few, like I said, there's definitely a few, but it's just like, and I'm not good at fitting into the pottery club, because I do a lot of things wrong. Like, you know, I don't measure the gravity of my glazes, and I don't wedge my clay, and I don't put slip on my handles, and there's a lot of things that I don't do, and people judge me for that.
Right.
And so I don't really fit into some of the circles. But you guys I fit into, because we're all fucking weird.
Yeah, I think being in the right area that has, I think having other clay people in my area just enhances that relationship, where you see their work, you really admire their work and their dedication to what they do in their process, and then you also see them in person, and you get to like interact with them and get to know them as a person, and maybe their husband or their spouse or whatever that you see at their show. And you get to, you know, ask, how was your show today? How did you do here? Have you sold at this show? And like those kind of interactions, I think, just enhance that community here.
Yeah.
That I really probably take for granted in relation to other areas that don't have that kind of access to other clay people.
I will say this: the love for craft decreases as you go west.
Is it just because people are just more spread out, or is it just it just hasn't been around as long?
I don't know.
The people haven't been there as long.
And I'm not referring to the I am not referring to the makers, because that I feel stays consistent. But the appreciation of the said craft, you know, there's a lot of appreciation for crafts in the Midwest. Maybe because,
I mean, you all probably have a lot more appreciation for the outdoors and the nature and stuff like that.
Which is a sector all of its own. And usually a lot of the outdoorsy people have a lot of appreciation for art. But yeah, and like fine art, like fine art. And yeah, so it's more of like a higher dollar kind of thing, I feel, but I could be wrong also, obviously. And it's a lot more competitive, you know? There's areas that if you ask somebody for help, they would not help you. And obviously we help everybody that we can. I will say that Josh was like, the other day, Josh was like, I can't wait for you to be like an hour away so that when I come deliver flowers, I can come say hi. And I was like, I can't wait to have pizza night with you and movies. Yeah. I'm really excited.
That's great.
Yeah. And
I'm looking forward to it. I would never do something like that. So I'm like, I know that you totally would. Like you have that like nomad personality, and you will put your stuff up for sale and move.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I decide something, I do it. That's another thing, because a lot of people in our world say they're going to do something and then they never do it, or they just like jot around the idea, you know, and I am one of those people that has that personality where, you know, on that whatever Tuesday, or when I was sitting in my car and I decided to do it, and Andrew goes, I was like, I'm going to sell my shop. And Andrew literally says, choose a date, please.
He wasn't like, what?
I mean,
how are you going to do that? Who's going to buy it? What are you going to do with all your shit? What are you going to do with the cats? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we had talked about that a little bit, but beforehand, but he was basically like, you can't do it right now. Like, Becca, you need to like plan this out. This is not just one of those things that you can up and leave. Because if it would have been up to me, I would have sold everything off in the next month and left. And this was back in...
So he was kind of being your voice of reason, your little, like, pull you back a
Yeah,
little
this was
bit.
back in April. And so I was like, okay, October 1st.
Dang.
I think is what I said. And then it moved itself back to November. The end of November. Just because the timeline works better with the buyers. But,
It seems crazy that it's been that long.
I know.
You told me back in April, or I guess it was probably around the beginning of...
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of like we're just sitting ducks. It's not like anything's happening, you know? So, right. Yeah. But yeah, like, I would have just done it right then and there. And the fact that, you know, I don't change my mind once I say that I'm going to do something, especially if I tell somebody I'm going to do something. This does not include diets because that doesn't count. Once I say that I'm going to do something, I stick to it, and I will do it. But I'm also, you know, if something changes and it doesn't happen, I'm also not going to be like, I accept things like that to happen, but they usually don't change. So,
have you talked to your mom about it or anything like that? And I mean, I assume you have, obviously. But like, what is her kind of feelings? She probably knows your personality enough to...
Right. She knows that there was no... I can't even remember the conversation I had with my mom. I do remember leaving Rebecca's. In March and texting my mom and saying, I think I might sell the shop. Like, it was like, I think I might move to Indianapolis. And she was like, absolutely not. And that's what my mom said. She was like, I don't want you to move anywhere farther than where you already are. I'm like, you're in the middle. It's the same distance. But the reason that she said that is...
You could probably get direct flights there.
Yeah. The reason that she said that was because my brother lives in Alaska and my sister also lives in Washington. And they usually come here to us.
And stop
and
over
everybody
and then
congregates in Washington. So that's why she said that. But then I told her and she was like, I think she probably said, I knew this was coming. So, yeah. My mental health needed this, for sure. 100%. And I think that it's important, you know, if you recall on the Hammerly Ceramics interview we did, I made it known that it is important to realize what your path is and what your goal is and what, and not to let money override that goal. And that is exactly what has happened to me. And that is exactly why I said that. Because without, you know, spilling the beans, I suppose. But it has become overwhelmingly apparent to me that my decisions within my business has been made in the last 3 years have been made because of money. And not because of my mental health, my well-being, or what is best for me. And that has been the problem. So, you know, there's a lot of things that I probably would have changed and I probably could have done. You know, I could have kept the front as a by appointment only, like, pottery store, you know, and I could have not done classes. Like, I could have made it doing just production pottery. And
you probably could have sold half of the business to this person you're going to sell it to, and she manage what she wants to with paint a pot and teaching or something, right. And then you make your own stuff. And
yeah, like, I could do that, and we had kind of like, you know, that had been talked about, but I need to remove myself just because I have gone so far deep into what is Five Lines Pottery, paint your own pottery studio, you know, like, I've just made certain decisions, and I feel like there's not any way out of this except full removal. And what that means, like, in the future is whatever, like, my friends are like, well, make sure you have a little bit of stake in the business, you know, you built this, and I know I built it. My life is not about money, and if they take off and if they become millionaires, that's freaking amazing, and I want that to happen for them. I don't need any part of it. I built this, and the lessons and the information that I have gained from it is far more valuable than any of the money that will or would have come from it. And I'm like, if I ever start a store in the future, I'll tell you what, it's going to be the most profitable store on the fucking planet. So, you know, so, yeah. It's just important to not make money the main concern, because I think that is what ruins it. You know, you forget why you liked what you were doing in the first place. Like, I always wanted to just do pottery. Why did I change that, you know? And
right, and you said you get enjoyment and pleasure out of just sitting at a wheel and making work and just getting into that kind of that trance, right, of,
yeah, like, why did I ever think that doing anything other than that would make me happy, you know? And that's been like the journey that I've kind of been on, and I think that's important to remember, just as every human being, you know?
Yeah. I don't know what else to ask or say.
I don't know either.
Kind of letting you roll on this one. So.
Yeah, I know. Thanks. It's been, yeah. I'm excited. I'm freaking excited. I'm
excited for you.
I just want November to come, but I am kind of confused about how I'm going to take the...
Are you looking forward to that drive across the country?
Oh my God, yes.
Are you like pulling a trailer?
I don't know.
Or are you just bringing your Subaru?
I was talking to my brother about that. I have no idea what to do, because that's part of the stress right now, is just like what I'm taking and what. The biggest issue that I'm having is that a lot of my personal belongings are at the studio, and so I've been trying to kind of like move some of the personal belongings out of the studio, and I need to be more diligent about that. Just to see...
About like cutting the cord with what is most important to you and not keeping all personal belongings?
Well, yeah, I've done that a lot anyway. I don't have that many personal belongings. But what my biggest issue is that I have a lot of art. A lot.
Oh, so it's got to go somewhere, because you are not going to have this office space. You're not You're not going to be like, hey, I need a 10 by 10 space.
For the first year, I will be renting this office the entire time. As a storage space.
Okay, so that will be your storage
because I don't want to lose
kinda.
it. So I will be moving a lot of stuff up here. But, like, you guys can't see my office, but literally all I have here is clothes, my earrings set up, and a bed. And a desk. I have a desk. And if you...
It's like a 12 by 12 room or something.
Yeah, it's like a 12 by 12 room. And that's pretty much what I live in. And, and I have a couch at the shop that I would love to keep. You know?
Could be a shop couch.
A shop couch. Yeah, I would love to keep the couch. I do like the couch a lot. Although it does have a lot of cat pee on it.
I could see that in the entryway, just right by the cat tree. Just right along that one of those front windows.
No, but I want to keep the couch, not for them. For me.
Oh, okay.
And I just like that couch. But I might give it up. I could probably find a better couch in the future. Anyway, and and I have a lot of art, and I have a few things, and then my booth setup I need to keep. So that'll go in the van. That just stays in the van, which is fine. And
preferably somewhere it will not get broken into.
Oh yeah, it'll be hidden quite well. Yeah. And so, like, trying to separate all the items, it's almost like I didn't realize, like, I have realized, but it's coming up quickly, and I need to separate the items that I have.
I mean, at least you've moved to that studio in like 2 years ago or something like that. So you have that much accumulated from your house. So you did have to scale down from there, I'm sure. And then you got the office
significantly
at a point. So you had to, you kind of spread out the amount of things across 2 different areas.
I do not have very much stuff. Like, I have tons of stuff in the shop. Like, that's just a whole shit show waiting to happen. But that's not all my stuff. Like, and most of the things that I buy are for the business. So I think I have probably like 2 totes, and then my kitchen, which I will transfer to the office.
That's a nice amount of stuff in that kitchen. Didn't you like build that kitchen out?
I just saw the memory of when it was all clean and like when I started, you know? And there's like a refrigerator, but I'll leave like the table, obviously. I have a Calphalon pan collection that I really enjoy. I'll probably take the ones that I like. And those were from Goodwill. Yeah. So I don't know. I'll take pictures to show you guys how much shit I actually have, I suppose, but
that drive is going to be long.
I know.
Did you look up how long the drive is?
Long. I've done the drive from Connecticut, so I know how long it is, but
holy shit.
Yeah, okay, so I don't know if I should take a trailer, like a U-Haul trailer, and tow it behind my car. Like, I don't know if I should bring my like slab roller.
Probably, right?
Because I feel like I need to take a trailer because I want to bring my wheel, which could fit in my car, but not with my other stuff. So, well, it might actually.
Yeah, it's going to fill up quick.
So, and I feel like I could get the couch in a trailer with all the other stuff. Like,
just get like an 8x8 U-Haul, and I mean, you've got like a Forester, right?
Yeah, so I can tow it. There's a certain amount of weight that it needs to be. But yeah, so, and also like, you
could fit a lot of stuff in a space that, in a trailer like that.
I think I did like a 6x4, a 6x4 on the way here, and we put like my wheel in it and all those things. That was the second time I moved out here, or not the second, but like it had been a couple of years, and then we moved some stuff from my mom's house here. Yeah, so I think I'm going to take a trailer, but I'll have to really decide whether I want the couch. I forgot the cats. What's happening with the cats? Because I know
discuss the cats.
That's what's on everybody's minds, especially Josh, our friend who doesn't like cats.
You're just going to drop it at the very last, and we're signing off. The cats are going blah, blah, blah.
So that was a big stressor for a while, the cats, because I really love my cats, but I am not.
You have 3 cats for someone who just started listening to us and doesn't know.
I have 3 cats. Two of the same litter, and they're boys and they're brothers, Floyd and Lloyd, and then I have Tidbit, who was my roommate's cat, who he left because we couldn't find her because she ran away because he tried to shove her in his car. And Tidbit is black, and the 2 boys are white, and they're wonderful. And the community loves these cats. So they will be missed within the studio. They are not staying with the studio. I was hoping that they would. But the new owners are allergic to cats. So. And they have a dog. So. I have a friend who recently moved. And she, like, lost her cat for some reason. He ran away. And we'd said something, and she was like, I just want one of your cats. And I messaged her, and I was like, but for reals? So my friend is taking all 3 of the cats. I never thought I would get all 3 of them together and in the same home. She's moving to like 6 acres, and she's taking all 3 of the cats. Wow. And Tibbet's going out first. She'll probably be going there in the next couple weeks. And then the kittens will go next. Tibbet needs a little bit of time to adjust because she is a scaredy cat. So.
Scaredy cat.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, would it be smart to give her the kittens first or Tidbit first? I was thinking Tidbit so that she could kind of like get her surroundings.
I don't know. Which one would you feel like it's harder to part with first?
Oh.
Or which one would be the hardest to part with?
Lloyd. And Tidbit.
Lloyd. And Tidbit. Well, you're not going to not give the two brothers up together, right?
Yeah. So, well, I was just thinking that Tidbit...
So Floyd's left out. Poor Floyd.
I know. I do love Floyd. I love Floyd in a very different way. But he doesn't really like me all that much. But, Tidbit has been losing her fur in the back because she's stressed out. And so I was thinking that if I removed her now, that maybe she could, like, gain a new normal and...
Or would she stress more?
Well, she's going to be stressed regardless. But I think that part of the stress comes from being around the two kittens in such a closed space.
Is she going to be around dogs immediately, though?
I don't think they have a dog. I'm not sure.
And other animals? I thought you said they were dogs.
No, the new owners of the shop have dogs.
Oh,
and they'll be outside.
They'll
be outside cats.
Cat's new owners
at this new space, which is going to be great for Lloyd and for Tidbit. Floyd, we'll see. But Tidbit used to be an outside cat exclusively. So yeah. So anyway, the cats are going to be in a great home, and she has 6 children, and so the kittens will be occupied all the time. They're not kittens anymore, by the way. They're 1, but still.
They're your kittens.
They're my kittens. Yeah. So, yes, that's what's happening. Yay.
So in your trip to Cincinnati, you're also going to stop in Indianapolis. I was texting you today and was like, hey, so do you care what day you go to Indianapolis? Because I think you're going to go with Rachel, my wife.
We're going to go.
And you're going to look at some places to see if you can look out some apartments or something like that.
Yeah.
Or just venture around.
The hard part is that I have to find a 6-month lease or like a 5 or like a month.
Yeah. So I was like, do you have a day? Do you have a plan? Do you have to like call places to figure out where you're going to schedule time to see? And you're like, I don't know. We'll see. I'll ask you.
Yeah. Because you
so that's
plan
kind of
ahead
part of your trip here.
So.
Well, I mean that it only helps to come here.
Yeah.
A few weeks before. It doesn't hurt. Rather than just figuring out when you get here with your trailer and everything.
Right. I know. I have to have a plan of at least a little. Yeah.
So we'll get a little vacation time in, and then you'll get a little figuring stuff out before you gotta drive across country.
For sure. I'm so excited about that drive. Ugh. And you know what's really great is that if I change my mind and if I need the van in Indianapolis, because like originally I was like, oh, I should take the van and I could just sleep in the van. And I was like, whoa, Becca, you're not in the Pacific Northwest anymore. There's coldness in the winter.
Yeah, why are you coming to Indianapolis for the shittiest parts of the year? You're gonna be here. Well, October's not that bad, but like October, November through April. Like, those are the coldest, the dreariest, the, like...
I'll be fine.
Gray parts of the year.
I'll be fine, don't worry.
It's probably kind of gray that time of year in Pacific Northwest, too.
Yeah, let's talk about depression.
Another time.
Yeah, so... But, yeah, I'll be fine with that. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean... So if anybody is in Indiana and has like a property that they want to rent for 6 months, let me know. But yeah, I'll probably end up buying a house and just renting it the time that I'm not there. That would be ideal.
Yeah.
And I was going to do that before I even moved out there, but then I was like, that's not smart, Becca. You should move there first.
Yeah. You know, a little off topic, but question for you. Have you been listening to Joe Rogan since he moved to Austin?
No, but I heard that the last episode was really good, the September 11th one.
Oh, okay. So he's talking about moving there and like all these people that are moving out of LA, and there was an episode where he was talking with somebody and he was like, yeah, I've been trying to get this guy to come and trying to get like Joey Diaz to come, and he's like, I would buy you a house and you would just live here, and like somebody else, I would just buy you a house and you just live here. It's like kind of puts you in that perspective of like, if you had the money and you just wanted to be in proximity to people that you care about so much that you would just buy them a house just to be close to them, like that would be awesome.
Would be so cool. And I've actually
like, you would be one of those people that I would be like, I would buy you a house just so you could live in this area.
Yeah, I know. I would totally do that. And that's funny that you say that, because the only thing that I regret about selling my house is the fact that I can't help people. Like when somebody needs a place to crash, or when, like somebody is like going through a rough time, I'm like, man, I wish I had my house so that I could just let you live there, Yeah. But yeah, I've heard that Joe Rogan is actually that guy. Like he's that guy that...
It's like when there's just people that, if there's something holding you back of like, I can't go there, I'd have to find a house, I'd have to buy it, what's the property value? He's just like, I got so much money, I'll just buy you a house. Yeah. Just live on the property
I think it was Bert Kreischer, I want to say. I'm not sure. But one of his friends was doing like an article, and he was saying that like Joe Rogan is the most generous man. And you'll just say like, oh man, I really like your smoke. Like he was like over at his house or something, and he's like, oh man, I really like your smoker. That's really cool. And like a week later, a fucking Traeger smoker
Traeger grill
like shows up at his front door. And it's just like, no awesome. Word or just anything. It's just like, here you go. And if I was wealthy, that's what I'd want to use my wealth for, is giving to others. But you have to make sure that people don't take advantage of you also. Yeah.
But having that friendship with someone that you could do that and feel like there's no obligation in return, but it's just like a giving gesture.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Having someone that you have a friendship like that, and it's like, who are your most immediate people that you would have, like, that you would feel comfortable or just like giving enough that you would be willing to give them something like that and not expect anything in return, and also you'd be happy to do that.
I'd do that with you.
Thanks. I would do the same. All right.
I think.
Any last words?
So. But yeah, I don't think so.
All right. We'll get this out in a few weeks, and maybe you'll be in Cincinnati by then. Looking forward to that.
Maybe we'll release it while I'm in Cincinnati or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we've got some podcasts we'll record while you're here too, so that should be fun.
It would be fun to like take pictures or like take videos in Indiana and like announce it while I'm in Indiana, so people freak out and think that I'm already there.
Oh, like, psych, I just moved.
That'd be great.
Oh. They'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. See? Look, Ryan just cussed. Anyway, what the fuck? Yeah. Cool. Okay, well, that's it.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate it, and we're having so much fun. If you want to follow us individually on Instagram, you totally can. Ryan's Instagram handle is @RDCeramics, and mine is 5 Lines Pottery. That's the number 5. We would love to hear from you, and don't forget to write us a review on our podcast. We read every single one of them, and we totally appreciate them. They help us out an awful lot, and they also put smiles on our faces. I hope you guys continue to listen, and we love you. Thanks. Bye.